What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to MMOSWORLD. We're going to be talking about Guild Wars 2's latest episode called Shadow in the Ice for the Icebrute Saga. Now, it went live this week, and we've played it, and we're here to share some thoughts on whether or not it's worth playing if you're returning to Guild Wars 2, or if you've not played Guild Wars 2 in a long time, and just our general impressions of the episode so far. So with Shadow in the Ice, we know that we're going to be getting an expanded map of the Biora Marches, which was introduced in the first episode called Whispers in the Dark. It takes place all the way in the north of Tyria, way past the Frozen Lands, and the story is of course tied to the Icebrute Saga, which in the prologue we know that the Char has broken away. There's a small band of Char led by Bangar and Ritlock's and Krishia's son, Ryland, and the two of them are, the few new antagonists in the Icebrute Saga alongside Jormak, the balanced elder dragon. So this episode really harkens in on all that elements as well. We also get a new mastery tier, four new mastery tiers in fact. One for Raven Gates, which are new features. They kind of act like portals in the new map. That if you remember the Sand Jackal portals from Path of Fire, these are similar in a way, and they are needed for some of the events in the game. Additionally, there's a new weapon tier for the Boreal weapons. There's illuminated stuff now, so it's tier 3, which means you're going to need to farm more currency on the map, and new story content, obviously. Now, we won't spoil everything in this video, we'll just touch on it briefly. And on top of that, there's new events as well for both sides of the Biora Marches. So the old map is still usable and still relevant in this episode, but the expanded side is where most of the new stuff takes place. Now, across both of them, you will find brand new events. And the one of particular interest, of course, is the world boss Drakkar. Now, we did manage to do the world boss Drakkar, and we gotta say, yep, it's pretty lengthy. It has its own timer, and one of the things that the developers shared in their guild chat before mentioned that Drakkar is a very classic world boss, especially in terms of Guild Wars 2. They wanted it to be bigger and more difficult than anything that's come over the last maybe 12 to 24 months, and I feel they've definitely achieved that, because you definitely need a large player presence to get this done, because it has multiple stages, and some of the mechanics involved as well is really fun, and it's not like your basic everybody just zerg, stand still, and watch out for a couple of things and you're done. I would say Drakkar is more on the level of Tequatl and the Shatterer, the original Shatterer, which is always pretty great. The design of the world boss itself is decent. I kind of like him a lot. Now, the difficulty for the world boss is the only thing that was of interest in this episode, really, because the story content, and there's 5 chapters in episode 2, Shadow in the Ice, and they are all story driven, obviously, and without any spoilers. Bram takes a very important role in this episode, as he is able to utilize the spirits of the Norn. There's a couple of spirits that he can use to his advantage to try and stop this Drakkar, which is also part of the world story and has a larger role in terms of being Jormag's mouthpiece. So that has a very interesting underlying story narratives in this episode. The downside is, at launch date, it launched on the 28th. Unfortunately, everything was pretty buggy, especially with the world boss. Now, every map that we played on, when the world boss Drakkar appeared, there is an escort event which takes you to Drakkar's boss fight lair, and that involves an escort quest with multiple kill sections and kill zones, and nothing happens. Usually the NPC gets there and doesn't move. So this was pretty frustrating, and I think it's fixed as of time of recording this. Is there anything else new with the episode, just beside the new event meta, world boss Drakkar? Well, a couple of things have returned from the first episode, and those are the light puzzles, and there's like a hidden area, a raven cave or something in the north side of the map, which does have some jumping puzzles involved, and it's pretty fun to explore in groups, or you can just do it with the pug. And of course, there's a brand new strike mission on the expanded Biora Marches map as well, and this one is very, very difficult to do in a public pugs. You want a pre-made group, definitely, and you want to be on voice comms, because some of the mechanics are really hard, and I do like the latest strike boss mission in comparison to last episode's strike boss mission. Otherwise, that's about it. You have a bunch more achievements this time around, and some of them are pretty easy to get. Again, more light puzzles and more jumping around the map looking for mastery insights or burning down idols and lighting flame braziers and things like that. But it's very standard. Unfortunately for the endgame community, no new raid, no new fractal, which of course is going to be disappointing. But overall, this episode is solid. It took me less than 2 hours to complete, which in itself a lot of people will argue is very short. But in terms of Guild Wars 2 standard, with your Living World episodic content, it's pretty usual to expect this less content. So hopefully ArenaNet and the team can work harder and faster and better at pumping out new content for everybody to play. So is it worth playing? If you kept up with the story, you've played the prologue, you've played the first episode, you know what's going on. This episode story-wise is actually really good because there are some twists and turns that you don't expect, especially right at the end in that final chapter, and I do recommend jumping into it for the story if you guys are interested in that. For the more hardcore crowd, is there anything for you to come back and do? Well, you can try the World Boss and the Strike Mission to get your sort of fractal or raid fix, but I'm not sure if that's going to satisfy you or not. But overall, yep, I do recommend players come check this out. The episode, of course, is going to be free for everybody who owns Path of Fire and logs in now. They will get it free. So that's it from us. Hit the like button, subscribe to MMOs World, and do check out our website, mmosworld.com, for more news as it happens in the MMO world. See you in the next video. Take care.